Kate Sullivan's fingers drummed against the worn armrest of her captain's chair, her eyes fixed on the holographic display floating before her. The Sierra Nova's mining sensors had just picked up a rich vein of thorium-rich asteroids, exactly what they needed to make this run profitable. But something else had appeared on their long-range scanners, something that made her stomach turn. "Marcus, what's our shield status?" She called out to her chief engineer, keeping her voice steady despite the growing dread. 15%, Cap. That last asteroid field did a number on them. Marcus Reynolds replied from his station, his usual jovial tone replaced with tension. "We've got holes patching the microfractures, but multiple quantum signatures detected." Lisa Chen's voice cut through the bridge. "Captain, it's a ZX-30 warship. Dreadnought class." The temperature on the bridge seemed to drop 10 degrees. Everyone knew the stories about the ZX-30, the militant species that had been pushing boundaries in this sector for the past decade. A mining vessel like the Sierra Nova, even at full strength, wouldn't stand a chance. "Time to intercept?" Kate asked, already running through their options. None of them good. 3 minutes, Lisa responded, her hands flying over her console. They're powering up weapons systems." Kate hit the ship-wide comm. "All hands, this is the captain. Battle stations, this isn't a drill." She took a deep breath. "Hull team, get inside. Everyone else, emergency positions. If we're going down fighting." The next 2 minutes were a blur of activity. Kate watched as her crew of 12, people she'd worked with for the past 5 years, people who had become family, moved with practiced efficiency, despite the fear evident on their faces. The ZX-30 vessel loomed larger on their display, its biomechanical hull gleaming with an almost predatory sheen. It was beautiful, in a terrifying way, like a shark made of living metal. "They're targeting our engine core," Lisa reported, her voice barely a whisper. Kate gripped her armrest harder. "Send out the emergency beacon. Full broadcast." She wouldn't let her crew die without the galaxy knowing who did this. The ZX-30 ship's weapon ports began to glow with devastating energy. Kate thought about her daughter back on Earth, about the video message she'd sent just yesterday about her first day of college. And then something impossible happened. The glow from the ZX-30 weapons died. Just winked out. "What the?" Marcus leaned forward at his station. "Cap, I'm picking up some kind of automated transmission. It's broadcasting on all frequencies." A sound filled the bridge, a strange, melodic series of tones that made Kate's teeth ache. Then it shifted, translating itself into perfect English. "Species Proteca and Protokegal, 7-1 activated. Humans are classified as Untouchable. Directity harm prohibited. Weapons systems locked. Violation of this protocol will result in immediate ship-wide execution." The message repeated in what had to be a dozen different languages. On their view screen, they could see the ZX-30 vessel's lights flickering as systems shut down one by one. Their weapons, their shields, everything except basic life support and communications went dark. A new transmission cut through the automated message. The translator rendered a young, angry voice. "Human vessel, this is Commander Kelrix of the ZX-30 Empire. Explain this deception immediately. What technology are you using to interfere with our systems?" Kate shared a bewildered look with her bridge crew before responding. "ZX-30 vessel, this is Captain Kate Sullivan of the mining ship Sierra Nova. We're as confused as you are. We have no technology capable of affecting your systems." There was a long pause before Kelrix responded, their voice barely contained fury. And was that fear? "Impossible. Our systems are. They're not responding to any commands. Even our backup protocols are locked." Another pause. What are you?" Kate looked at her crew, seeing her own confusion reflected in their faces. "We're just humans," she said simply. "Just humans trying to make a living out here." But even as she said it, She knew their lives had just changed forever. Whatever had just saved them, whatever this species protection protocol was, it had just revealed that humanity's place in the galaxy was far stranger, and perhaps far more significant, than anyone had ever suspected. Jack Reynolds stared at the grainy security footage for the 100th time, his office at the Archaeological Institute illuminated only by the soft glow of multiple holoscreens. The footage showed the same thing it had shown every other time. A Drachnid assault carrier, attempting to fire on a human colony ship 3 years ago, experiencing complete weapons failure, just like the Sierra Nova incident last week. Computer, overlay temporal anomaly patterns from both incidents, he commanded, taking a sip of cold coffee. The AI compiled the data, creating a ghostly visualization of energy signatures. They matched perfectly. "Damn," he whispered, running a hand through his graying hair. "I was right. I was right all along." A soft chime announced an incoming call. "Dr. Reynolds." His assistant's voice wavered. There's someone here from the CIA. They say it's urgent." Jack quickly closed the holoscreens. "Send them in, Alice." He'd been expecting this since Kate Sullivan's report went viral. The woman who entered wasn't what he expected. No suit, no earpiece, just casual clothes and a tired expression. "Rebecca Martinez," she said, showing her credentials. "Former colleague of yours, actually. Analysis Division." "Before I quit to chase conspiracy theories," Jack said, watching her carefully. Rebecca's expression softened. "Turns out you weren't so crazy after all. We need your help, Jack. The Sullivan incident. It's not isolated. We've been compiling reports." 37 incidents in the past decade alone, Jack interrupted, all following the same pattern. Advanced alien species attempt hostile action against humans, their systems mysteriously fail, and a message about some protection protocol appears. Rebecca blinked. "How did you?" "Because I've been tracking them for 15 years. He gestured, reopening his holoscreens. The Drachnid incident, the hegemony standoff, the Proxima colony miracle, they're all connected. But here's what the CIA doesn't know yet. He pulled up an ancient star chart. It goes back way further than a decade. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Commander Kelrick sat in their quarters aboard the disabled ZX-30 dreadnought, staring at a mysterious data packet that had appeared in their personal database. The encryption was unlike anything they'd seen. It seemed to shift and change as they watched it. When it finally opened, their heart nearly stopped. It was their species' classified military history, but not the version they'd learned in the academy. This showed hundreds of failed attempts to engage human targets over centuries, each ending in the same inexplicable system failures. A text message appeared. "The truth is bigger than you know. Keep digging. J." Back on Earth, Jack led Rebecca through his evidence. Every spacefaring species has this protocol hardwired into their most basic systems. But none of them installed it. None of them can remove it. It's like the universe itself is enforcing it. "That's impossible," Rebecca muttered, but her voice lacked conviction. "Yeah. Tell that to the laws of physics that rearranged themselves around the Sierra Nova last week." Jack pulled up his final piece of evidence. "But here's the real kicker. I found this in the ruins on Mars last month. The hologram showed an ancient wall covered in symbols. In the center, clear as day, was a human figure surrounded by a geometric pattern, the exact same pattern that appeared in the energy signatures from disabled alien weapons. The marking dates back 30,000 years, Jack said quietly. Someone, or something, marked humanity as untouchable long before we even reached the stars. The question isn't who's protecting us." He zoomed in on the image, revealing tiny equations carved around the human figure. "The question is, what did our ancestors do to earn it?" Rebecca's communicator buzzed. Her face went pale as she read the message. "Jack, there's been another incident. A ZX-30 science facility, conducting research on human biology. The entire complex just vanished, folded in on itself like origami made of space-time. Jack grabbed his coat. They tried to find a way around the protocol, didn't they? Rebecca nodded. Then we better hurry, he said, heading for the door. Because whatever's protecting humanity isn't just powerful, it's getting angry. Dr. Vex moved through the secret Zeoxys facility, deep within the Kuiper belt, their bioluminescent patterns pulsing with anticipation. The laboratory, hidden within a hollowed-out ice dwarf, housed their life's work, a weapon designed to circumvent the species protection protocol by targeting the very environments humans needed to survive. Status report, they demanded, approaching the central containment chamber where their masterpiece grew. Final synthesis completing, Doctor, their assistant, Ankstill, reported. The nanophages are evolving exactly as designed. They'll destroy all Earth-compatible biomass while leaving other species unaffected. Vex's patterns glowed with satisfaction. The protocol protects humans from direct harm, but it can't protect every blade of grass, every bacterium, every. A warning klaxon cut through the facility. Impossible, Vex hissed, rushing to the monitoring station. We're completely shielded. No one knows we're here. The readings made no sense. Quantum fluctuations were appearing throughout the facility, but they followed no known pattern. Space itself seemed to be folding. Doctor. Ankstill's voice cracked with panic. The containment field. It's shifting. Vex watched in horror as the reinforced chamber holding their bioweapon began to ripple like water. The walls didn't break or shatter. They simply ceased to maintain their original geometry. The carefully crafted nanophages found themselves suddenly occupying the same space as solid matter. The laws of physics reasserted themselves with devastating results. Evacuate. Vex screamed, but it was too late. Reality was coming undone around them. They saw Ankstill try to run, only to find the doorway had become a Mobius strip in three-dimensional space. In the chaos, Vex noticed something strange. The quantum disruptions weren't random. In the swirling impossibility around them, patterns emerged. The same patterns they'd seen in ancient human cave paintings during their research. Their last thought, before space folded them into dimensions they were never meant to perceive, was a terrible realization. They hadn't failed to circumvent the protocol. They'd proven why it existed in the first place. Ankstill awoke in an escape pod. The only survivor. The facility was just gone. Not destroyed, not exploded. Simply erased from normal space-time, leaving behind only a perfectly spherical void in the ice dwarf. The pod's communication system activated automatically, but instead of sending a distress signal, it connected to a private channel. A human face appeared on the screen. "My name is Jack Reynolds," the human said softly. "And I know what you just witnessed. What you saw wasn't a malfunction or an accident. It was a demonstration." Ankstill's translator struggled with their shaking voice. A demonstration of what? Of why every species in the galaxy has that protocol hardwired into their technology. Of why humanity is marked as untouchable. Jack leaned forward. "But you already knew something was wrong, didn't you? That's why you've been sending me data about the project." Ankstill's bioluminescence flickered in shock. They had never sent any data to humans. Unless those blackouts they'd been experiencing. The consciousness that protects us. Jack continued, "It doesn't just guard humans. It guards reality itself from those who would use it as a weapon. Your doctor wasn't the first to try this. The predecessors tried to eliminate humanity through environmental destruction too. Want to know what happened to their civilization?" Ankstill remembered the patterns in the quantum fluctuations. They were folded, like us, like the facility. Exactly. But here's the real question. Why does this only happen around humans? What makes us so special that reality itself breaks down to protect us? Jack's expression turned grave. "I need your help to find out. Because these attempts to harm us, they're escalating. And I don't think the universe can handle too many more reality-bending demonstrations. Hank still stared at the void where the facility had been, where Dr. Vex had been. They thought about how space had twisted, how fundamental forces had rewritten themselves. "The pod's navigation is already set," Jack said. "I'll meet you at the coordinates." And Hank still, "Thank you for trying to warn us, even if you don't remember doing it." As the pod accelerated away from the anomaly, Hank still realized that the true horror wasn't that humans couldn't be harmed. It was that reality itself seemed to think they shouldn't be. The Martian dust storm raged outside as Kate Sullivan followed Jack Reynolds through the narrow tunnel. Their helmet lights illuminated ancient markings that definitely weren't from any known Mars mission. "Found this place using gravitational mapping," Jack explained, his voice crackling over the comm. Something was distorting local gravity fields in patterns matching the protection protocol's quantum signature. Behind them, Anxtil's environmental suit glowed faintly, their bioluminescence visible even through the protective layers. The ZX theory scientist hadn't spoken much since their facility's destruction, but their research expertise had proven invaluable. Here, Jack stopped at what appeared to be a solid wall. "Kate, you're the mining expert. What do you make of this?" Kate ran her scanner over the surface. "It's impossible. The molecular structure isn't static. It's like it's actively reconfiguring itself." She touched the wall. "Wait, there's a resonance pattern. Similar to our mining quantum drills, but infinitely more complex. Can you open it?" Kate adjusted her scanner's frequency, matching the wall's quantum signature. "Maybe if I..." The wall simply ceased to exist, as if it had never been there at all. "That's not what I did," Kate whispered. They stepped through into a vast chamber that defied Mars geology. The walls were covered in flowing equations that seemed to move when viewed directly. At the center stood a single stasis pod, its design unlike anything human or alien. "Life signs detected," Anxtil reported, their translator struggling with their excitement. "Human life signs, but the quantum temporal signature is wrong." A soft hum filled the chamber. The equations on the walls began to glow, and the stasis pod's surface turned transparent, revealing the woman inside. Her eyes opened. The pod dissolved, letting her step out as if she'd just woken from a nap, rather than what their instruments said was a 30,000-year sleep. "I'm Dr. Beth Anderson," she said, her accent strangely modern. "And you're right on time." Kate raised her weapon instinctively, but it powered down immediately. Beth smiled. "The protocol doesn't just protect current humans. It protects all humans across all time periods. Quite a headache for temporal mechanics, let me tell you." "You're from the predecessor civilization," Jack breathed. "But you're human." "Human." Anxtil's patterns flashed in confusion. "The predecessors predate all known species. They were human," Beth finished. "Well, mostly. We were the first iteration of humanity to reach the stars, to master quantum mechanics, to discover what human consciousness could really do." She gestured at the equations. "This facility isn't just a bunker. It's a bookmark in time, designed to activate when humanity rediscovered its potential." "The protection protocol," Kate said. "You created it?" Beth's laugh echoed strangely. "Created it? No, we tried to prevent it. That's why this facility exists, as a warning and a confession." Her expression darkened. "We discovered that human consciousness had unique properties. It could influence quantum states directly. Some humans could even manipulate local reality. It terrified us." She walked to the wall, touching one of the flowing equations. A hologram appeared, showing Earth as it was 30,000 years ago. "We decided this power was too dangerous, that humanity needed to be reset. We designed weapons to wipe out most of the population, to start over with more controlled evolution." Her voice cracked. "We didn't understand what we were dealing with." "What happened?" Jack asked, though his expression suggested he already knew. "Human consciousness isn't individual, it's collective. Quantum entangled across all humans who ever lived or will live. When we tried to commit genocide against our own species, she gestured at the equations. Reality itself rebelled. The universe rewrote its own laws to protect humanity. Not because we're special, but because we're fundamental to its structure. The chamber hummed louder, and new equations began appearing on the walls. "It's happening again," Beth said urgently. "The HFY fleet gathering at the edge of your solar system. They're about to make the same mistake we did. But this time," she looked at each of them in turn. "This time, humanity needs to understand its power before the universe has to demonstrate it again. Because each demonstration weakens the fabric of space-time itself." The new equations pulsed with an inner light, and Kate realized with a start that she could read them. Somehow, they made perfect sense. "So," Beth said, "shall we begin your quantum consciousness training?" "Again," Beth commanded, watching Kate struggle with the quantum manipulation exercise. The former mining captain held her hands over a simple metal cube, trying to influence its molecular structure. "I still don't understand," Kate grunted, sweat beading on her forehead. "If this power is innate to all humans, why can't I just—" The cube suddenly liquefied, then reformed as a perfect sphere. "Because," Beth explained, "you're still thinking like an individual. Your consciousness isn't isolated. It never was. Humanity's quantum field connects all human minds across space and time. The protection protocol isn't some external force. It's the universe responding to our collective will to survive." Jack watched from his console, correlating data from Kate's exercise with historical incidents. "That's why alien weapons fail around us. The collective human consciousness automatically warps reality to ensure our survival." "Precisely." Beth moved to a holographic display showing Earth's history. "But it's more than that. Watch." The display showed various points in human history where extinction had seemed inevitable. Plagues, nuclear standoffs, climate disasters. In each instance, the data revealed subtle quantum manipulations that had nudged reality just enough to ensure humanity's survival. "We've been unconsciously protecting ourselves all along," Jack whispered. Anxtil's patterns flickered with revelation. "The failed experiments at our facility. The spatial anomalies weren't attacks. They were corrections." "Yes," Beth confirmed. "Reality itself restructures to prevent human extinction because human consciousness is woven into the quantum fabric of the universe." She paused, her expression growing grave. "That's what my people discovered, and why our attempt to reset humanity backfired so catastrophically." The facility's lights dimmed suddenly. New data streamed across their screens. "The HFY fleet," Anxtil reported, patterns pulsing with alarm. "They've begun their advance. 50 dreadnoughts, all equipped with experimental quantum phase weapons designed to bypass the protection protocol." Beth's face went pale. "They don't understand. You can't bypass the protocol because it's not a protocol at all. It's the fundamental nature of reality asserting itself." As if in response, their instruments detected massive quantum fluctuations throughout the solar system. Space itself seemed to shiver. "The collective consciousness is responding," Beth said urgently. "But this is different from before. The HFY weapons, they're forcing a larger correction than ever before." Kate felt it first, a strange resonance in her mind, like countless voices speaking in quantum harmony. Looking at Jack and the others, she saw they felt it too. Even Anxtil seemed affected, their bioluminescence synchronizing with the quantum pulses. "It's beautiful," Jack breathed, watching the data streams. "The consciousness isn't just protecting us. It's trying to prevent the HFY from harming themselves. The universe doesn't want any species to bear the burden of genocide." Beth nodded. "Now you understand what my people never could. Human consciousness evolved this way not to dominate, but to preserve. We're not meant to be conquerors or victims. We're cosmic mediators." The quantum resonance grew stronger. Through their shared connection, they felt millions of humans worldwide becoming aware of the subtle field that had always existed between them. The collective consciousness was awakening. "There's something else," Kate said suddenly, her eyes wide. The connection. It's not just between humans. The quantum field. It's trying to expand, to include everyone. Beth finished. That's what the universe has been working toward all along. Humanity wasn't marked as untouchable to separate us from other species. We were preserved because we're the key to connecting all conscious beings into a single quantum network. Anxtil's translator struggled to convey their awe. Your protection. It was never about making humans invulnerable. It was about keeping you alive long enough to help the rest of us transcend our limitations. The facility's sensors exploded with readings as the approaching Zixatheri fleet encountered the expanding quantum field. But instead of the reality-bending defensive response they expected, something completely different happened. For the first time in history, an alien species began to feel the touch of the collective consciousness that had protected humanity for so long. The truth wasn't that humans couldn't be harmed. It was that through them, the universe had found a way to ensure that eventually, no one would want to harm anyone ever again. Well, Beth said with a smile, shall we go welcome them to the network? Major Tom Harrison stood on the bridge of the EDF flagship Artemis, watching the Zixatheri fleet's approach on the tactical display. 50 dreadnoughts, each larger than anything humanity had ever built, their quantum phase weapons glowing with impossible energy. Sir, his tactical officer reported, they're broadcasting on all frequencies. The message was simple: surrender your special status, or we will destroy every uninhabited planet in your system until you do. Tom's neural link buzzed with an incoming connection. Kate Sullivan's voice filled his mind through the newly awakened quantum network. Major, we have a solution, but you need to keep them talking. We need time to extend the consciousness field. Lives at stake here, Sullivan. Tom responded subtly. What exactly are you planning? Trust me. Kate's quantum-linked thoughts carried uncertainty that transcended words. Just watch. Tom straightened his uniform. Open a channel. The view screen filled with the image of the Zixatheri High Commander, their bioluminescent patterns radiating contempt. Your time of privileged protection ends today, human. Before you fire, Tom said carefully, you should know what happened to the last civilization that tried to harm humanity. Ask your scientist, Anxtil. The High Commander's patterns flickered with surprise. The traitor. They were lost with. I'm here, Commander. Anxtil stepped into view behind Tom, their patterns telling a story of wonder rather than fear. And what I've learned changes everything. The first Zixatheri dreadnought fired. Reality. Hiccuped. The massive energy beam meant to crack Mercury in half simply curved. Not deflected, not blocked. It curved into a perfect spiral, forming an impossible shape in space before dissolving into quantum foam. What trickery is this? The High Commander demanded. Tom felt it then, the quantum field expanding, carrying with it the combined consciousness of billions of humans. But this time, it was different. This time, they weren't just defending. They were reaching out. The Zixatheri ships fired again. Space folded around their weapons, creating geometric patterns of light that reminded Tom of neural networks. Each shot transformed into a new configuration of energy, beautiful and harmless. And then he heard them. Through the quantum field, Tom could hear the thoughts of the Zixatheri crews. Their confusion, their fear, but most importantly, their awakening. Do you feel it? Anxtil asked their commander. The connection. This is what I discovered in that facility. What Dr. Anderson and the others showed me. Humanity's gift isn't their invulnerability. It's their ability to share consciousness itself. The High Commander's patterns had changed, showing confusion and wonder. This sensation. What are you doing to us? Beth's voice came through the quantum link, broadcasting to all. We're not doing anything to you. We're sharing what we've always had. What the universe preserved us to share. More ships fired. Each shot created new patterns, new connections in the quantum field. With each attempt to destroy, the network only grew stronger. Tom watched in awe as the tactical display transformed. The red dots representing enemy ships began to pulse in sync with the human fleet, not through technology, but through shared consciousness. "My crew," the High Commander said, their patterns now showing completely new colors. "There, I can feel their thoughts. All of them. And yours. How long have humans lived like this?" "Always," Kate replied through the quantum field. "We just didn't know it. The protection protocol wasn't a shield, it was training wheels, keeping us safe until we could understand our true purpose." The weapons of the Zetex Etheri fleet powered down, not through malfunction, but through choice. One by one, their crews joined the expanding consciousness network. "We came to end human supremacy," the High Commander said slowly. "Instead, you've offered us transcendence." Tom smiled. "Not just you. Look." Throughout the solar system, quantum sensors detected new connections forming. Other species ships, watching the confrontation from afar, were being drawn into the field. The network was growing exponentially. "So," Tom said to the High Commander, "shall we discuss what happens next, now that we can literally put our heads together?" The stars themselves seemed to shine brighter as consciousness bridged the gaps between species, forming something entirely new. The age of separation was ending. The real miracle wasn't that humans couldn't be harmed. It was that through them, the universe had found a way to make harm itself obsolete. Emily Chase stood before the United Earth Council, the quantum network humming in her consciousness like a cosmic symphony. As humanity's leading expert in xenophilosophy, she had been chosen to address the growing concerns about their newfound connection to the universe. "The question isn't whether we should maintain this power," she began, her thoughts resonating through both spoken word and quantum link. "The question is, what responsibilities come with it?" The chamber buzzed with both verbal and mental discourse. Counselor Zhang stood, his skepticism clear in both mind and voice. "Dr. Chase, the colony on Europa is demanding to suppress their connection to the quantum network. They claim it's about maintaining human autonomy. How do we respond?" Emily smiled. "Actually, that experiment is already underway. Kate, would you share what you've discovered?" Kate Sullivan's consciousness joined the session from Europa, her thoughts crystalline through the quantum field. "We did it. We found a way to voluntarily dim our connection to the network. But here's the fascinating part. The moment we chose to be vulnerable, to reject our protection, the field grew stronger." Murmurs filled the chamber. Emily projected the data through the shared consciousness, letting everyone see the paradox for themselves. The Europa colony's willing acceptance of vulnerability had somehow strengthened the quantum bonds between all conscious beings. "Don't you see?" Emily's excitement rippled through the network. The protection was never about making us invincible. It was about teaching us that true strength comes from choosing connection over isolation, understanding over fear. The chamber's quantum field pulsed as a new consciousness joined. Angst Till, now serving as the first Zetex Etheri ambassador to Earth. Their thoughts carried images of their own world's transformation. "The change among my people is extraordinary," Angst Till shared. "Centuries of militant expansion, dissolved by the simple ability to feel each other's hopes and fears. We thought humans were dangerous because they couldn't be harmed. We never imagined they were protected because they could teach us to transcend the very concept of harm." Emily nodded, projecting her next thoughts to both the chamber and the growing network of consciousness spanning the solar system. Which brings us to the real revolution. Humanity was never meant to be merely protected. We were preserved because we had evolved something unique, the ability to form quantum bonds between conscious minds. Through the network, they all felt it, the gentle expansion of human consciousness reaching further into space, touching more species, more worlds. Not imposing, not controlling, simply offering connection. Counselor Zhang's skepticism shifted to wonder. The reports from the Zetex Etheri fleet encounter. Their weapons didn't fail because of some protective force field. They failed because Because the universe itself responds to consciousness, Emily completed. And human consciousness, linked across all space and time, creates a template for universal connection. We're not special because we're protected. We're protected because we can show others how to transcend their limitations. The quantum field rippled with new input. Beth Anderson, joining from the Mars facility. My civilization never understood. We thought this power made us gods, then feared it would make us devils. But it was simpler than that. We were meant to be teachers. Through their shared connection, they felt the Europa colonists' revelation. Their willing vulnerability had proven that the power wasn't in the protection. It was in the choice to trust, to connect, to share consciousness across the artificial boundaries of species and space. Emily faced the council, both physically and mentally. So yes, let colonies choose to dim their connection. Let individuals modify their link to the network. Because true connection can't be forced. It must be chosen. That's what makes it powerful. The quantum field pulsed with agreement, not just from humans, but from dozens of species now joined in the expanding network of consciousness, each choosing their level of connection, each contributing their unique perspective to the growing universal mind. The real revolution, Emily concluded, her thoughts resonating through the cosmos, isn't that humans can't be harmed. It's that through us, the universe has found a way to make harm itself obsolete, not through protection, but through understanding. Not through isolation, but through choice. The chamber fell silent, both mentally and physically, as the implications settled in. Humanity wasn't ending. It was evolving, and taking the rest of the universe with it, one consciousness at a time. The Sol Conference Hall, built in Mars Valles Marineris, hummed with consciousness from across the galaxy. Physical representatives from 100 species sat in the chamber, while thousands more participated through the quantum network. The hall itself was a testament to the new age, its architecture responding in real time to the collective thoughts of its occupants, walls shifting like liquid crystal. Tom Harrison took the podium, his dress uniform gleaming under the Martian sunlight that filtered through the metamorphic ceiling. Kate Sullivan and Jack Reynolds flanked him, while Emily Chase and Beth Anderson joined through quantum presence, their consciousness as real in the room as any physical being. 1 year ago, Tom began, his thoughts resonating through both air and quantum field. We discovered we weren't just protected, we were connected. Today, we take the next step. Through the shared consciousness, they all felt the moment the quantum network expanded again. Across the solar system, new bridges of consciousness formed between species that had once been mortal enemies. The Zizek's theory and the Drachnid, ancient rivals, now shared thoughts as easily as siblings. The old protection protocol, Kate added, her consciousness touching each mind in the vast assembly, was just the beginning. Watch. She raised her hand, and reality rippled. But instead of the defensive warping that had once protected humans, the ripple carried understanding. Everyone in the hall experienced a moment of perfect empathy, feeling what others felt, seeing what they saw. This is what we were preserved to share, Jack explained, projecting the historical data through the quantum field. Not the power to bend reality, but the ability to help consciousness itself evolve. Anx Till, now head of the Interspecies Science Council, shared their own revelation. We sought to break human protection, never realizing we were fighting against our own evolution. The universe wasn't protecting humans from us. It was protecting us from our own limitations. Emily's quantum presence brightened as she added, "And now, the final test." She nodded to Beth. Beth Anderson, the living bridge between humanity's past and future, initiated the sequence they had prepared. Around the solar system, the old quantum defense mechanisms, what they had mistakenly called the protection protocol, began to shift. Humanity's invulnerability was training wheels, Beth explained, her consciousness touching each mind in turn. We needed it until we understood our true purpose. Now, watch what happens when we choose to be vulnerable together. Through the quantum network, they all felt it. Humans everywhere voluntarily lowering their defensive fields. For the first time, In 30,000 years, humanity stood unprotected. The universe held its breath. And then something miraculous happened. The quantum field didn't disappear, it transformed. What had been a barrier became a bridge. What had protected now connected. The consciousness of every species present began to resonate at new frequencies, unlocking potentials that had laid dormant for millennia. "This is the gift we were meant to share," Tom announced, his voice thick with emotion. Not invulnerability, but transcendence. Not protection, but possibility. Through the quantum network, they felt the change rippling across space. Species that had never known mental connection suddenly found themselves awakening to new awareness. The network grew not by human imposition, but by universal recognition of shared consciousness. Kate stepped forward, her mining captain's pragmatism grounding the moment. "We still have challenges ahead, learning to balance individual identity with collective consciousness, discovering the limits and responsibilities of our shared awareness. But for the first time, we face these challenges together." The hall shifted, its structure responding to the collective epiphany. The ceiling opened to the Martian sky, where Earth hung like a blue jewel, a reminder of where this journey began. "So no," Emily concluded, her quantum presence touching all minds. "Humans are not untouchable. We're something far better. We're teachers, bridges, and catalysts for universal consciousness. And this is just the beginning." As if in response, the quantum field pulsed with new connections forming in distant star systems. Other species, awakening to their own potential, reaching out across the cosmos. The age of separation was over. The age of shared consciousness had begun. And somewhere in the quantum field, in the space between thoughts where reality itself took form, the universe seemed to smile. Its children had finally learned to walk on their own, and the future stretched out before them, infinite with possibility. Not because humans couldn't be harmed, but because they had learned, and now taught others, that harm itself was nothing more than a limitation waiting to be transcended. The lesson was complete. The new age had begun.